Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I want to share something that really kind of helped me break through a little bit of a, I don't know if I call it an art block, but it was definitely kind of a little like funk. And it was just a fun new supply. These are just disposable fountain pens. Now, like most things that are called disposable, there usually is a way to take it apart and refill it once you use up the ink, and I hope to try that once I have used the ink up, but there's so much ink in one of these little pens that it's going to take a while. And honestly, I think that the ink would cost as much as the pen. These were about 50 cents a piece. I got a set of 16. There's 2 of each color from Amazon for about $9. And I'll put a link in the video description to the one I bought. And also I'll put a couple others because this seems to be sold by many different sellers. They're disposable fountain pen. They're really fun, and I found them to be very inspiring. And the nice thing about when you buy like a set, this is what the box came in, you actually get 2 full sets of 8. So you could, split them with a friend or buy them for stocking stuffers or whatnot. So I'm going to share what I did with these pens, and then I'm going to do a demo with them so you can sketch along too. And if you're sketching along too, just get any sort of pen you have. I think that would be just fine. So this is a sketchbook that I couldn't stand, and I brought it with me to the Inktober retreat I went to thinking I might use it. I had done a couple sketches in here, but honestly I didn't like the accordion style of this book. So I'll start off with what I did. Originally I had this little row of houses, and so I used a pen to write Book of Experimentation in there, and I drew a little guy with a kite there. Then I took these swatches here and I turned them into some doodles. I turned this color wheel into a bunch of kind of ladies chatting around like a sewing circle. And then here I turned the swatches into a Ferris wheel, and I made some people waiting in line, and I made a train on the side. It was just kind of fun to doodle around. And this is actually the first thing I did with the pens. I just sketched the pens, and that's a good icebreaker when you are stuck and you don't know what to do. Swatch your stuff out, or like do a painting of like your watercolor tin or stuff on your desk, your art supplies. That can be very colorful and inspiring. So when you're stuck and you don't know what to do, just look around your desk or put a couple tubes of paint out or something and just sketch your supplies. And then here I was just doodling. I was thinking I had circus on the mind or a carnival on the mind, and I had drawn this little like swing ride and the little people in the swings, and I was just doodling and seeing, because at this point I wasn't sure if these pens were waterproof or not, so I was just kind of playing with them. I had, I don't know what I did with the, oh right here, I had just kind of, when I first got them, wrote on a little post-it note type thing, and I added water, and they weren't moving too much because of this type of paper, but on watercolor paper they move really well. So then I thought, well, I'm going to keep on filling, I'm just going to fill up the sketchbook. I don't like the sketchbook, I don't like the style of sketchbook, so I'm just going to draw and fill it up and get used to these pens. And I was sitting on the couch watching TV, being kind of lazy on Saturday, and I just started doodling. And so I did some pumpkins, and I did this little shop front here from Alice Lim's shop front challenge on Instagram. And mine is, everybody, I was looking at a lot of them that looked really good. This did not look great, but still playing with the pens, just having fun. I drew a bunch of fruit. I drew this little detail of a building because I've been doing more architecture, or trying to anyway. I think it's one of those things where I'm going to have to do a lot of quantity before I see my quality of drawing improve with architecture. Just some birds on the beach, and the faces were really fun because I just do one color and then I would start adding water, and then like here I did pink and it wasn't enough contrast, so I added some purple in. But this was fun. I liked doing that. And then just a house that a friend had taken a picture of and sent me, and then the dog napping on the couch, the other end of the couch where I was sitting. So I really felt like, not like I was really making a breakthrough, but I felt like I was just, it felt good to make stuff and to use up this book because I didn't really like it that much. And then I thought, I'm just going to do some birds. And I did film this, but then like part of it was off camera, so I kind of lost my my mojo for that. This took about, actually it took 27 minutes to draw all these, and it was just fun. Sketch and wash, sketch and add some water. And I thought we'd do something like that today. I think that this, do I want to do it on this page? I think what I'll do, because this isn't my big sketchbook, I think I'll just go over here to where I have a, I think I'll work in this part right here, right there, because I've got space and there's already a smudge in it, so it's not precious. I'm going to zoom in a little bit And I'm going to bring my phone over so that we can see my reference photo. And we're just going to sketch just a bird right here. This bird I thought was really cute. And we can fit that in the space there. All right, I will link to it in the video description, this photo, so you can see it as well. But I think I'm going to put it off. I'm going to put it in front of me a little bit because I want to make sure I can see it. Actually, I probably can move it like that. That'll work, won't it? And that way you guys can see it too. But I will link to the reference photo so it'll be a little bit easier for you to find and, you know, make large and be able to see better. So I'm going to start by sketching the bird, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, so I'm going to kind of bring it out a little bit here, get the head, get kind of a triangle. Let's bring the head up a little bit, and then we get this kind of triangle shape for that wing. It kind of swoops up into that whole color for the head. We got the beak, it's got a berry in it, so we'll just have the beak open like that. Nose. Now this is Arches paper is pretty heavily sized, and it's also pretty rough, so these pens are not going to be as smooth on this paper as it was. They worked quite a bit better in my cellulose Hahnemühle accordion book there, just because of the paper being smoother, and I don't know, it just seemed to grab it a little bit better. Also, with this set of pens, you are limited to color. There's 8 colors. There's no yellow. There's no brown. So, you know, you do have that limitation, but oftentimes I find limitation is really great for us artists, because, you know, we can like wander around in our studios and be like, oh, we have all this, oh, we have everything we could ever want. I know that's like speaking from a place of privilege. I have a lot of supplies, and sometimes it can be kind of like, well, what do I pick? You know, it can be like a case of being, you know, spoiled for choice. You've got so much that you don't know what to choose, right? I know, how awful does that sound? Sounds so, why is life so easy? You know, it sounds bad there. All right, this guy's a little cutie, I think. And let's see, let's put a berry. The berry is going to be kind of like red-orange, so I'm also going to color the inside of the mouth. And I think I'll also just put a bunch of berries. I don't like that branch coming straight down. I think I'll make kind of a branch kind of coming over this way. That he's on a branch there. Maybe I'll do some leaves. Yeah, maybe just some leaves. You could also sketch with, if you didn't have these fountain pens, you could always sketch with like watercolor pencil and add water. You could sketch with a gel pen or a felt tip pen. I think the real brush pens, because you can actually go back in with a real brush pen over a wet area and it doesn't hurt anything, whereas if you go over a wet area with a felt tip pen, it can damage your pen, so just kind of keep that in mind. This isn't going to suck up any ink, that's why it doesn't bother it to go in and work over a wet area. But you do want to kind of keep that in mind if you're going to go back in. But I also found when I was recording the one with all the birds that like one went off the camera, and I was like, so frustrating. And also I was like, oh, I'm having a really hard time to talk and draw at the same time, because I was just kind of really into my drawing. It's like, I haven't been talking, so it was kind of a little bit frustrating, because I wanted to make, you know, a good video, but then I'm like, I'm not like talking enough in the, well, maybe you guys would prefer that. Adding some blue in here. So I tend to use orange in place of brown, so I'm going to do a little bit of orange. Plus it might look like a robin if I do orange there. I think I want to use a little bit of the, even though it's kind of more of a gray background, I think I might use a little bit of blue in the background here a little bit. Because I can always go back in with my pens and make like more detail and stuff, so I might just kind of go in here with some colors. I like to section off my my pages in like especially larger sketchbooks so that I can, I don't know, fill it up. Now this is going to be weird because I have like all things facing different ways, but honestly, I'm not too bothered by it, to be perfectly frank. I'm gonna let some of these colors get like smudgy in the background too, so. All right, let's see. Well, you know what? I think I'll start with the background. Isn't that a pretty color? They just meld out so well. I think I'll just actually just add some water and get this kind of muted background going. So as you can see, I mean, you got some felt pens and you get a water brush, and you can see how portable that could be if you have them in like your bag, or like say you're, I don't know, on the subway, or you're just sitting in front of the TV, or you're waiting for a doctor's appointment or something. You can just have that, the pens, and you can be sketching in a sketchbook, and then you can add water later when you have more time. So that way you're not like having a soggy page if you're out and about or something like that. It was the nice thing about the accordion book, I will say for this, so if you have one and you're like, I don't know what to do with that thing, it's such a pain. The nice thing about the accordion book, when I was sitting on the couch watching TV and just kind of sketching on Saturday, was that I could just leave the book open. I could still work on another page and just leave that book open because it's an accordion, right? So let me show you, well, let me finish this background. I'll show you what I mean in case I'm like, I feel like I have a hard time explaining myself when I'm trying to do art sometimes. But you can open it right up, so it's not like you have to fold the book closed because the page you just worked on is next to the page that you're on currently, and so you just open it up and leave it open and just kind of slide down and work on the next page. I have no idea if that makes any sense, but I'll show you in a second. Let's get this background wet first. But you can see how water reactive these are. Now, of course, if you're on just like a regular sketch paper, you might not get as much, well, you won't get as much reactivity because watercolor paper is that size and it keeps the color from getting absorbed right in, whereas sketch paper wouldn't, or like copy paper wouldn't, notebook paper wouldn't. So, you know, there is that, whoops. Okay, you know what? I'm going to actually finish. I'm going to just kind of wet this down because I've already started to, so I don't want to have any weird lines. Because once you do reactivate it, then it's kind of sticks to the, absorbs in and sticks to the paper a little bit more. So let me just get this guy. You can mix the blue into the orange, and blue and orange will, like, are opposite, so they'll kind of turn to brown, so that'll work. And I like a little bit of that white sparkle, so I'm not going to mix everything out. Okay, and I would just have a rag that I'll wipe my brush on. So what I was saying about the accordion book is that if you have, when you're done working on, say you're working on this page, when you're done that, you can just open it up, and that way this doesn't have to get closed and smudged. You just open it up and you keep on working down, because you end up with this long, you know, you've got this whole long sheet that's just accordion folded. So you could be working on this page while like 2 pages ago is still drying. Hope that makes sense. All right, so while this is still wet, you can still draw on here. Now, if you're using a felt tip pen, you don't want to do this, but if you are using, the fountain pens here, it works fine because it doesn't draw the ink back up. I'm just gonna make this branch extend back here. I think I'll just add a little bit of a branch here, and this is where the magic happens. You just start doodling. You just start doodling your own thing, and you just get lost in the moment of it. And especially, like for me, most of the stuff I do, it seems like a lot of the stuff I do I record, not during Inktober or anything, but you know, I'm recording a lot of stuff, and then you can kind of get like, well, it's got to look good, it's got to be perfect, it's got to look like something somebody else is going to want to do. Otherwise, what's the point of sharing it online? Because if, you know, I'm wasting my breath if nobody else wants to do this. So if you feel like that, if you ever feel like, well, what's the point of this if nobody else wants to see it, or you know, that's kind of the point. You do it for you, and you just kind of like enjoy the process. Now, something I would like to do, I'll set my the timer, not the timer on my phone, but like the display. If you go to settings and display, you can say how long you want your phone to stay active, or like the screen to stay awake. So you can set it for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. And then, you know, when your screen goes dead, that, or shuts off, that, that you've been sketching for that long. You know, if you're trying to get faster. I am trying to get faster. I've been doing a lot of urban sketching. It's not looking great, I've got to be honest, but I'm seeing some improvement. I'm not where I want to be yet, but that's fine. You know, I know that I'm going to have to do a lot of drawing to get to the point that I want to be at, which is a certain like whimsical look that I'm going for, but I also want it to be kind of quick. I want to do some quick sketching. That's part of my goal. But it's going to take time to get there, and I'm not there yet. And I know it's going to be one of those, you know, quantity breeds quality type situations. I must have a pretty wet area here for that sort of bleed to happen. And these details will stay a little bit better because we're working on wet paper, and so it does kind of make it, want to kind of scrape and scribe the paper a little bit. I'm just going to put some stems in, a few little stems here and there. Hopefully I will be able to move a little of the color around. So you do want to be a little intentional with your lines if you're working on the wet paper, because they are going to remain a little bit more sharp and distinct. All right, I'm going to see. I feel like I need more color up here. It's amazing what you can do with like 8 colors too. You know, because it's like, oh, I don't have a brown, I don't have a yellow. And I was actually looking on Amazon this morning to see if I could find disposable fountain pens in these other colors, but then I'm like, you know, I've got some actual fountain pens. I can either put liquid watercolor in them if I want those colors, or just use what I have here. Because I think a lot of times we really get into something like, well, I gotta get more, I gotta, you know, and then it's the law of diminishing returns. We get the extra things, but then it's like, okay, I have the things now, and then that's it. And we don't enjoy it more. It's like when you see a kid that they've got their favorite truck and they're playing with their truck all the time, and so you're trying to find them a present, and so, oh, I'm going to buy him another truck, a bigger one, or I'm going to buy him a whole set of trucks because he likes that one so much, he'll love having more of them, and then the kid never touches the trucks again. It's just like I used to say, yeah, like the kids like it, and then when I buy a whole box of it, they don't like it anymore, like if it was a grocery item or whatever. And I think it's like, you like it because it's special. It's like when you're adding it to your stash, it's like everything can't be your favorite. And when I'm going to get something, thinking about getting something from my art stash, I'll be like, well, is this going to just make the other stuff I have redundant, or is this going to make the other stuff I have more useful? And if it's going to make the other stuff I have redundant, then I don't get it. If it's going to make the other stuff more useful, I do get it. That is, unless I'm getting it to review or whatnot. But oh, I kind of like that sketchiness that has too. I think that's kind of cute. And then if you want to mute your colors, just don't wipe your brush off between colors, and that will naturally just kind of mute them down. If I have red on my brush and I go into the green, that's going to make that green a little bit brown because red and green are opposites. All right, let's do some of these guys up here. And I'm just doing a water brush to keep it simple. You could obviously do whatever you want. All right, we're only 20 minutes in, that's not too bad. All right, so now I want to do some details on the little guy here. I didn't add any white gel pen to any of my other stuff, but I think, you know, that would be a great way to, if you did want to get a little bit more detail, you could do that. I think that's super cute. Oops, I angled his beak up. His beak shouldn't be angled up, but there's nothing I can really do about that now, I guess. Oops. Ah. I feel like I could use it to be a little bit brighter, but I don't want to mess with my phone. I want to just keep on sketching. And basically what I'm going to do here is just try to bring out the contrast, a little bit of detail. Now I've got a lot of the color. I don't know if I'm going to go in there with white. If you do go in with white gel pen, just like with like felt tip pens or anything like that, make sure that your paper's dry because that will ruin it. And then I just try to like get the essence, like if I'm seeing like this row of feathers. Just trying to get the details that I think are really important to have. Yeah, that should be up more, I think. I think that is going to go off the edge of the page. If I need to go in and fix something, blend something, just grab that brush and do it. Don't hesitate. If you see something is not exactly what you want or right, then just go right in and fix it. Sometimes it's fun not to like lift your pen from the paper, just kind of see what happens if you don't lift your pen and see how long you can go without lifting your pen. I think I'm going to have to, I think I will make a brown pen. I'll take my Jane Davenport one or one of the other ones I have and just put brown ink in it because I think that would be really, really useful to have. I don't think I like how bold this is, so I think I'm going to mute it down after I finish putting my colors in. But I was really impressed with it because I've bought inexpensive fountain pens before and been disappointed with how they've performed. So I was pretty excited to find these and see that they're actually pretty decent. Now I think I will just add a little water to this blue and then I'll bring that down to the orange and see if I can make it a little bit browner after I get this kind of dissolved. I mean, you can let me know if you really love the other sketches of the birds. I mean, I could post that. Maybe just edit out the cardinal or one off the page. I don't know. Just let me know if you do want to see it. If there's enough people that would like to see it, I could put it out. I don't know if I like how that branch. I think I like that. Let me see if I can scrub that up before it gets too wet. And we do a little bit of more detail there. Maybe a little bit of red in that berry to help draw the eye. There. All right, I think that's fine. and get another drawing in your sketchbook. So I hope you found this inspiring. Again, I'll show you the other page of birds. And another quick little, I gotta let that dry because that's still wet. I'll show you through here again. This was really fun just to do these faces. I hope that that gives you some inspiration. I know that it can be hard sometimes. You're just like, what do I draw? Everything just doesn't seem to be going your way, or maybe you're frustrated or having a block. Just grab a pen and go. I will link to these in the video description in case you're looking to pick up a set of these. I think they're a lot of fun, and hey, if you're looking to get into fountain pen, these aren't waterproof, so obviously you're not going to be able to do it and then watercolor over it and have the ink stay. But you can find waterproof fountain pens or waterproof fountain pen ink as well, or just use microns. Just don't go into the wet paint with a felt tip pen or a micron or anything, or a gel pen, because it will mess them up. But there you have it. I hope you found that interesting, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye!